Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Lorna's story. And we are picking up right where we left off in the morning after a troublesome night. As you awake at about 5:30 in the morning, Tier is with you, and the only reason you wake up is because Tier nudges you awake as he says, "I'm sorry, you're going to be late for class if I let you sleep any longer, and I don't want that to happen, as they will both be in trouble."
Yeah. Thanks. That was. I've
Sounded
had
like
better nights.
it sounded like you had a rough one.
Yeah. I kind of knew I was going to, though. And I appreciate you being there for me anyways, because I'm sure that wasn't pleasant for you either.
I could sleep anywhere. You did fine. Honestly, I don't mind waking up to help you. I'm not the one going through turmoil.
Just some bad dreams. There's worse things in life.
They seemed like real bad dreams.
There's a whole thing.
Right.
We'll get into that.
Well, I don't have
But
to.
yeah, I'm trying to limit the intake of nonsense from me that you get on a daily basis, or you'll also go crazy.
I'm already there. Now, why don't you go
You're
ahead, get yourself cleaned up, get dressed, and we'll go get breakfast.
okay. She does exactly as he says.
As does he. He kind of gets himself washed up and then changes clothes.
He puts mine on, right?
Yeah. No, it seems as though he keeps spare clothes in his pack.
That's wise. I should start doing that.
Perhaps. He is a ranger. It seems as though he's used to
Makes
being on the
sense.
fly.
Yeah.
So,
We
you
go
and
to
Tia go to
breakfast.
breakfast.
Uh-huh. I hope that doesn't look weird that we came in the same direction.
Well,
Why are you rolling things?
to see if anybody noticed.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Look at my little requiem.
As you're heading into the mess hall, you kind of hear a and you glance over and you see Lilith, who is approaching from the other side, just kind of with a raised eyebrow watches as the two of you enter.
I trying to keep the gesture from most people's views, but not Lilith. So I'm gonna use my artificial hand and just give her the finger.
She performs a rude gesture to you. One that seems to imply a sexual act. You do also notice that the bruises that were all over her face have healed up. There is no evidence of her own lesson, and she seems to be back into her old spirits of being slightly antagonistic all the time. As
But
she
I
looks
know
at
we have an
you,
understanding now.
as she looks at you, and she just goes,
I do not respond to that rude gesture,
"Uh huh."
but I don't think I need to. I think she knows what she knows.
You head into breakfast, and breakfast smells amazing. You smell fresh berries above all else, and when you go to the counter, you see that there are assortments of what looks like hot cakes and waffles and blintzes and even crepes covered in all sorts of berry preserves and creams, and it smells amazing as there are fresh pots of clava lined with them.
So
And
glad I woke up this morning.
the mood around the mess hall seems to be very cheery and jovial as everyone is enjoying this delicious sweet breakfast. If you eat it, you gain 10 temporary hit points.
Thank goodness. Who knows what I'm gonna get up to today and almost die from.
I do. And it's
Oh,
not going to be that exciting.
you don't know. I guess that was not
I think I
wise.
might, yes. Hang on a second here.
Hanging. Why is chair so far away from me? Fix that. There we go.
I was going to say, you do choose where you are. Okay. As you eat breakfast, you and Tier have some quiet conversation. Tier mostly complains about what he's concerned he's going to have to do today. And after the conversation, and right before you and breakfast, Tier says, I was wondering when might be running some more training with the group.
Right.
I imagine today might not be a good day, as you've had a rough night, but I was just wondering.
Marketer.
Well, the fall festival is coming up, so...
I know we need to get on that. Particularly me, because last time everyone did great except me. So...
You just need to work on your positioning. Stay away from the fight as all the things are coming in.
It looks like she's having trouble keeping her face straight as he talks.
What do you mean? Because he would understand this.
It feels like innuendo.
There's like a brief
Work on
pause.
your positions, things coming in.
There's a brief pause where he would say, and also, you want to make sure that you have Anscombe in between you and the problems.
She narrows her eyes.
He seems unreadable.
That's not fair. Let me.
You can roll an insight check. He's trying.
Let me read him.
Go ahead and roll an insight check.
I really will. 23.
You get the impression that at first he was completely sincere and that you should work on staying behind the front line.
Yeah.
But when he realized that you were taking it as innuendo, he decided to fuck with you.
I think she would just lightly kick his shin under the table.
Oh.
It didn't hurt, don't pretend.
I have to make you feel like you had an effect.
Thanks, you're a gentleman.
I try my best. Alright. I'm off to class. Best of luck to you.
Don't get lost this time.
He holds up a middle finger and then leaves the mess hall.
Yeah. A lot of that going around today, huh? I say to myself.
Requiem, in your mind says, I am not familiar. Maybe I missed it.
No, you're fine. It's... Never mind. Let's go to class. I've got... Oh, I hope that message doesn't come in the middle of class. The one from Elise. That will be hard to focus if I know that I have my answers. Well, I guess we'll just deal with it.
Requiem doesn't know how to reply, so he just follows you.
Yep, she's mostly talking to herself, but he's there.
I think at this point Requiem is accustomed to that.
Yeah. He responds when he can, but 90% of the time...
Yeah.
There's nothing to respond to, it's just nonsense.
You head to Tabernac's classroom. It is as you remember. And Halliwell, and... Actually, Halliwell is not here today. Halliwell is on a free agency.
I can't imagine him outside of the school. The one time I saw him outside of the school, he was trying to talk to squirrels, and it wasn't even a squirrel.
No, it was not. Callie is at the table, and you see Tabernac in human form is up by the shelves, and he says, Lorna, are you ready for today's studies into another of the extraplanar environs?
I'm always ready.
Good. I have selected one for you.
Great.
He sets a book in front of you.
He did select one for me.
Yes, he did.
Hopefully it's not that bullshit one that Callie was complaining about.
As you... Excuse me. As you look, you see this book is on the ethereal plane.
Ooh. Is that the celestial plane, or is that different?
That is different.
I know. We learned so much.
So, go ahead and roll me an investigation at disadvantage
Yeah, yeah.
in a D100.
2 14s. Noise. 21 disadvantage. And D100. 93.
Okay. With these studies, the next time you cast or try to create a spell involving the ethereal plane, whether that include Misty Step or Blink or True Sight, anything such as that, rolls involving that are at advantage. Ow.
Yeah?
This tome was written by Malefactor Benelicillion.
Yep.
The ethereal plane, much like the Shadowfell and the Feywild, is another plane that is quite aligned with the prime material, but more so than any other, as aforementioned. The ethereal plane exists almost in the exact same state as the prime material, and should someone exist in the ethereal, they can see into the prime material, as if they're there. Oftentimes there are illusions or magical residue that changes their perceptions upon the prime material, but the ethereal plane is a separate place, but only barely. There are many creatures that use the ethereal plane to hide from creatures on the prime material, and there are many spells that use the ethereal plane to store objects temporarily. Which means that if you have the means to travel through the ethereal plane, sometimes you can see these effects in happening. There are also many creatures and monsters that use the ethereal plane to their advantage, such as, and then it begins listing all sorts of creatures, including phase spiders, specters, nuances, face flayers, all
Ew.
sorts of creatures. And most of them don't really have a real explanation, just kind of as a list. And if you decide to look into any of these, you can. But as it's going down the list, it then goes on to say, spells such as the Blink spell allows a user to switch between the prime material and the ethereal plane, but only just so that they remain within the vicinity of where they originated from. A side effect of traveling through the ethereal plane is that not all physical objects in the prime material act the same in the ethereal plane, which means that if you are walking on the floor in the prime material plane and you switch into the ethereal plane, there is a chance you will fall right through the floor because it does not exist in the ethereal plane.
What happens if you switch back while still in the floor?
It's mentioned in the book that an effect called shunting happens, where you take force damage as your body magically is forced into an space it can occupy, which is also a good way to break bones. As it happens instantaneously, and the sudden movement happens quicker than you can blink, and it hurts.
Okay.
As you continue reading, you learn that there are many spells that affect only the ethereal, and these are of a particular school of magicka, specifically conjuration. They are the only spells that can affect a creature that is only in the ethereal. And there are creatures such as floomphs that exist in the ethereal most of the time, but sometimes venture out into the prime material. Spells such as True Sight allow you to interact with them while remaining in the prime material. Additionally, if the ethereal plane is not a plane that you can plane shift into. Because it is so close to the prime material plane, should one try to plane shift into the ethereal plane, they won't go anywhere. The spell will fail. One of the material components of plane shift is a tuning fork, and that tuning fork needs to resonate magically with the resonance of the plane that it shifts to. There are many tuning forks that you can choose what plane that they shift to, and it will change its resonance in due time. These tuning forks can be very expensive. However, there are no tuning forks that shift to the ethereal plane. That would be as though there was a tuning fork made of ghost, and that doesn't really exist.
I look down at my ghost dog as I read that statement and then look back to the paper.
Requiem just kind of looks up at you.
Hey, buddy.
There are materials that can only be found in the ethereal plane. They are extremely rare because it is hard to search for them. They are well hidden within the prime material in plain sight or deep within the wells and ores of mines dug by Duragar and, well, rock dwarves. They're almost akin to gemstones in how rare they are to find, except that they're within the gemstones that are already rare to find. So, happening across these ethereal materials, what is generally referred as ectothril, these magical components can be used to create the most powerful weapons. So powerful, in fact, that the magic within them often creates personalities when they are formed.
Oh, like a sentient weapon.
Yes. Lesser sentient weapons or items, usually.
Because they don't have a person's actual soul in them.
Correct. Now, these sentient weapons that are made of ectothril can grow and become more intelligent over time until they can develop their own personalities or even develop new bodies for themselves, creating such constructs as unowned mastered golems. It is thought that the first corpse collector was made this way.
Ugh. I don't like that.
Well, the book doesn't seem to care. As we go on. There is also the deep ethereal. While you're in the standard ethereal, a traveler could still see into the prime material, but not to a great distance. Once you get into the deep ethereal, while it does still mirror the prime material, things become stranger. Your belongings change into ethereal materials. Metal became ethereal. Metal's flesh would become ethereal flesh, and so on, which would allow free movement through the deep ethereal in any direction, but not by your feet. It would be similar to travel within the astral plane by force of will. Literally, how hard you could think about it was how fast you could move, and in one direction. And since everything was permeated with ethereality in the deep ethereal, an air-breathing creature could breathe ethereal air, but you would not drown in, say, an ethereal lake, because that air would permeate everything. It's almost as if everything was mixed together in all ways. It's conceptually very confusing.
Uh-huh. I'm sure Lorna gets it better than me.
As you would pass through rock, you would not drown. As you'd pass through stone and metal, as you're exploring facets of the prime material, but through the deep ethereal, it would be as though you are just drifting through the solid material, and your perception would only be limited by what was literally physically right in front of your eyes. But you could breathe the whole time, because the air is also ethereal. I hope that makes more sense.
Yeah.
That being said, lead does not handle ethereal well. There is an instance of one of the travelers bordering into the deep ethereal who was carrying a lead box with a scripture inside. It was entirely meant for decoration and homage to a god that was silent at the time. But that lead box, when they traveled into the ethereal, it could not pass through wherever they were going. It was as though there was an anchor preventing them from actually becoming ethereal, or just that lead box was incapable of becoming ethereal. Which raises the question, what happens if you are ethereal and you encounter natural lead in the prime material plane whilst you are ethereal? Could you pass through it?
I don't think so.
The book doesn't have the answer. That's the question it's posing. Additionally, when you are in the ethereal plane, it is possible to travel into other planes other than the prime material.
Are there ethereal versions?
No. It's just ethereal bordering it. So, while the ethereal plane borders the prime material, it does not actually overlap any of the other planes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, if you are passing through the deep ethereal and you come across a curtain of vaporous color, it is wise to look at what color aligns with that plane. What plane aligns with that color, as you may end up passing through the curtain into one of the layers of hell. Or
Oh.
into pandemonium itself.
Right. It's like the lensoculum has different colors.
Yes, each plane has its own color, and typically the prime material plane's curtain is seen as turquoise or silver.
Okay. Good to know if I ever get lost in the deep ethereal.
Mm-hmm. Additionally, the deep ethereal swirls with large deposits of proto-matter, which is a substance that can be hard to describe. It really requires one to see it. And you can see there is this artist's attempt to display it, and it just looks like a lava lamp.
Oh, this poor Ben Ocillion is not an artist.
It's well drawn. It's just, it
He's
seems
just
like
doing his best.
the material is weird. A powerful enough wizard can use the proto-matter to create anything. There are instances of wizards attempting to pull this proto-matter from the deep ethereal into the prime material plane, but every instance it has resulted in disaster.
What kind of disaster?
It doesn't say.
Okay.
You would need to look into that.
Well, then how would I be affected? Okay.
There are instances of proto-matter being pulled into other planes and successfully managing the creations, similar to Pyrice. Pyrice is concentrated magic, as though it is precipitated out into the real world, except Pyrice cannot exist in the prime material plane. Once Pyrice is pulled into the prime material plane, it is explosive immediately.
Oh. Like sodium on water?
Yes, but with, instead of water, just the plane of the prime material.
Existence.
Yes. There is one case of Pyrice providing a massive detonation in history, and that is the SA Mystery airship flown by the Wanderers. They claimed its engine was powered by Pyrice, which no longer exists because it was exploded the instant it entered this plane.
But wherever they came from, it jived
Yes.
in such a way that it could actually function until it entered this one.
It is thought that proto-matter behaves in a similar way as Pyrice, except it is a little bit less extremely dangerous in the prime material plane. Proto-matter can be brought into the prime material plane in extremely small quantities, but unfortunately it evaporates before anyone can actually experiment on it. There are many instances where the Academy... where the Academics Academy... Wow. I'm sorry. Where the Arcanics and Artifice Academy have managed to pull small amounts of proto-matter into laboratories, but have failed to accomplish anything with said proto-matter.
Just getting it there is already almost impossible.
Yeah.
I see.
And as you're reading, I need you to roll me another investigation at disadvantage, and another D100. This
That's
is a
more
dense
like it.
topic.
This is 10.
10.
Her mind is drifting to what Elise is going to tell her when she finally messages her.
Well, basically for the second half of the day, your brain is mush after reading all this about the ethereal plane.
I really front-loaded my effort.
Yeah. And it comes close to 3 o'clock, where you're learning about an alterable morphic proto-matter, and you're like, what? And then suddenly, a black dove appears in the air in front of you and sets a note card down on the table.
Did the dove disappear?
No?
She's
It just kind
actually
of looks
gonna...
at you.
Is it like... So it's like a real dove. Not
Seems
like a requiem dove.
It looks like a bird. It doesn't look clear.
But a
like,
black one. Okay.
yeah, it's black.
She's just gonna lean forward and be like, "Are you Elise's familiar?"
The black dove kind of tilts its head.
Well, you're very cute. She's gonna pick up the card.
The head of the bird kind of like bobs up and down.
Yeah, you get it.
When you look at the card, you see that it is a message written in almost calligraphic handwriting that says,
Yeah, that tracks.
I am ready for you, Elise.
Okay. She'll look at the bird and say, I'll be there as soon as class lets me go.
The bird into a cloud of black
shit.
smoke, and it's gone.
Okay, I hope he's okay.
Okay.
Can I use the last hour of my class time pretending to read? She wants to try something.
You can do anything you like.
Woo! So, I've been wanting to do this ever since the session where I got it. She wants to try to draw Malcolm from memory.
Okay.
I don't know how good of an artist she is.
Are you proficient in painter's tools, calligraphy tools, forgery tools, artist supplies, anything like that? Tattooers, instruments, anything?
No. Okay, no, but I would like to just point out that she was raised as a noble, and women raised as nobles, at least in world history, real life world history, painting and drawing was actually a huge part of their upbringing in their finishing schools.
Well, when you choose the noble background, you get to choose tools that you're proficient with. And if you did not choose painter supplies, then it's clear that your tutors...
How did I... Did I pick?
Yes.
I just says dragon chess set.
Then that is what you were practicing when you were a
Ooh.
child.
I didn't know it gave me the option to be painter. Okay. But I have really nice handwriting, so hopefully that translates to a good artist.
Okay.
What's my role here?
You're not proficient in the tools for this, but you will say it's not terribly hard for you to sketch. I'm going to ask you, because you are drawing from a dream, this is going to be a history check at disadvantage.
Right.
And it would be whether you were exhausted or not.
Yes. Come on. Ooh, really good. 19.
19.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me dexterity check.
Oh no, not a performance.
No.
Okay.
You are not proficient in this.
Terrible. This is my first DeviantArt post. Just garbage.
It is at disadvantage because you are exhausted.
Yikes. If I get a natural one, does the paper just catch on fire?
No, you just...
Damn, the second
Get
roll was a
distracted.
lot better.
Okay. With a 3,
Damn.
you don't... You have the image in your head of what Malcolm looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And as you begin trying to draw it on paper, you get like 2 lines down and you're like, no. And you start over and you just cannot get a foundation of what he looked like on paper.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you're tired, you've been studying all day, you are frustrated, and it's not getting anywhere.
There's a lot of scribbles.
After about 30 minutes, you can't help but feel like someone's breathing over your shoulder.
I very slowly look up.
That does not appear to be of any source of ethereal
No, see, I'm
study.
trying to draw proto-matter because the artistic representation was a little hard to understand.
Roll me a deception check at disadvantage.
At disadvantage. I still rolled a 19.
Tabernacle leans over your shoulder, and one of the sketches that is has like a chin. He says, "And this is the proto-matter named Malcolm, is it?"
I really, really wish you'd get out of my head sometimes.
You think so loudly, and I've told you to practice thinking of other things to guard your thoughts, and yet that lesson went straight into the
No,
rubbish bin, didn't
I
it?
was practicing that too.
Were you?
No.
No, you were not. I understand that the patiences of a mortal can be exhausting at times, but please do not waste my class time on such frivolous nonsense.
She really tries not to keep the words frivolous nonsense out of her head, but of course it pops up anyways.
Indeed. He looks down at the tome on the ethereal plane, and he says, all right, Lorna. If you can tell me what proteolaic antimatter is, I will let you off the hook.
Can I make a history check?
Sure, at disadvantage.
Yeah, but maybe she remembers it. Okay, alright, 19.
You vaguely remember it has something to do with a sphere of annihilation?
She will relay everything she remembers.
So you say sphere of annihilation.
Yes.
Tabernac just, frowns and says, you could do a little bit better than that, especially considering it's literally the next page. You will continue your studies on the ethereal plane tomorrow. As class is dismissed, get out of my tower. And he just kind of heads down the stairs.
He shuts the book and meekly departs.
Yeah. As you leave the wizarding classroom, I'm assuming you're going straight to the Warlock's
Yes.
classroom? Yeah.
Yes.
I figured as much. It is 5 p.m. as you head to the Warlock's classroom. And as you enter, you see Elise is in there by herself. It looks as though Dog has been long since dismissed.
Hi, I'm here. I got your dove.
Good. I was hoping you would be hasty. All right. I have your answer. But before I give it to you, I must know. Are you sure you wish to know in this way?
In this way, meaning in this conversation?
No. Once I give you an answer as provided by a devil, you can be seen as indebted to that devil, if even just the smallest way.
He already took part of my soul.
That was the payment, yes.
So how is there a debt?
You see Elise kind of steeples her fingers, and she says, the collection of the soul was so he could sort out who...
It was the symbol.
Yes.
Well, I'm already deeply indebted to his lesser.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this whole mention of potentially making an arrangement with him in the future, so I'm kind of in the state of my life where I'm saying fuck it to everything.
Not a healthy attitude, but I suppose I can respect it.
And he already took a bite out of me anyways, if I don't learn now, then that would have been a waste.
Uh-huh. All right. I suppose that will have to do. She kind of takes a breath, and she pulls out a slip of parchment. Are you ready?
As I'll ever be.
You were born December 5th, 5001, as a dark elf female.
Okay. That's really old.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. It's 6071.
Yes.
He says as if that's not the current year. How, how old am I?
If this is correct, and I know it is, you are over 1,000 years old. 1,070.
I think she would sit down, feeling a little lightheaded. Okay.
It appears as though you don't have a memory of most of that time.
No. No, not at all. I don't have a name or... I know what name came after I changed from the first version to the next. And I think I know why I left.
I have one other piece of information that I need to warn you about. Your
Okay.
origin is... Your origin is not a place that is safe for you.
Wh- Can you tell me a little bit more? I'm not quite sure I follow.
The Dark Elf city of Lucifax.
Lucifer's.
It is an ancient metropolis. It is extremely dangerous.
To everyone?
To everyone who is not a citizen of Lucifax. And you do not look like a citizen of Lucifax.
Not anymore. So how did that come out in the test?
Yes.
I wish it had a name.
I'm
Is
sorry.
I'm right. Obviously, I can't
Names
claim
are
that,
not
but
easy to acquire.
so I don't have any plans on going down there anytime soon.
That is good, for if you did, you would surely perish. Or suffer permanent enslavement.
Right. Well, not permanent. There's been escapes.
I need you to truly understand. It is... I'm not going to tell you where Lucifax is. It is that dangerous, I don't want you to be tempted. The only
Right.
reason I know where it is because I am from the Underdark.
But not there.
No.
Would it have been dangerous? Would it be dangerous for you?
Yes.
Even though she kind of just gestures at her.
She smiles and says, yes.
I mean, how do they know?
They have their ways.
I suppose. Do you know anything about it other than that it really sucks?
They use demons for everything.
That deep, huh?
Oh, yes. They control demons through pure magic and have them construct their masterpieces.
Then what do they need slaves for? Non-demon slaves.
Ellie
For fun?
shrugs.
Okay.
I am not a citizen of Lucifax. I cannot speak to its politics. I can only speak to what I've heard.
And it's only bad things.
Truly the worst.
I see.
If you ever venture there, it would be the void Underdark is where you would be traveling, which has its own dangers beyond just the drow of Lucifax.
Sounds like a terrible place.
And somehow, you escaped.
I died in the process. But that seemed to have been on purpose, because I was brought back.
That is curious. Do you know when?
390 years ago.
Then what I can say, with some certainty, if you were alive for over 600 years before escaping, you do not live so long in drow culture, unless you are a person of some respect, or
Or?
something much darker.
Great. Like I was a really bad person.
Yes,
Well, I have a theory on why I left, which makes me think maybe that wasn't totally the case.
that is certainly optimistic. I would hope it is that way. Do you... I... What do you know about old drow culture?
Uh, Nothing. Not a single thing.
Well, let me perhaps educate you on some of the basics. Drow culture is ruled by the females. It is a matriarchal society. The males are either used for their physical aspect, or they are barely worth their existence in construction, logistics, the lesser works. There are no male drow magical practitioners. There are no male drow politicians. There are no male drow merchants or traders or nobles or anyone of real respect. The best anyone can be who is a male drow is a craftsman. Those who make items, equipment, puafuis, those sorts of things. That's the best they can do. The women of drow culture are thought to be made in Enosa's image, made to be perfect, no matter their shape or form. As a dark elf, any other elves are seen as an atrocity, a betrayal of Enosa's true meaning when she designed the dark elf, and so they should be slain on sight.
I see.
These matriarchal societies, a matriarch may take as many husbands as she wishes, the ones that she believes will help her sire the best children, the best women to rule their houses. Matriarchal society is always about houses. Whoever's house is the strongest controls the most, well, women, controls the most powerful magical entities. And so you can imagine, in Lucifax, should someone enter who does not fit in, does not match with the magical signature of any of the houses there, a stranger, well, the nail that sticks out gets hammered.
What do you think? I'm not saying I'm going. Probably ever, because it sounds like a horrible place. But I'm I'm different than I once was, obviously. In multiple different ways, but would they recognize my magic?
Do you know any dark elf magic?
Not specifically, unless I dredge something up from my memories in the future. Otherwise, it's just what I've learned in this lifetime.
Did you know there was dark elf magic before I mentioned it?
Yeah. Not even a little bit.
Then perhaps they would immediately recognize that you are not of them.
You don't think that they'd remember me, do you? Like, they would care if I ran away almost 400 years ago?
The oldest elf I know of is leader of the Coda City Council, and she is 1700 years old.
That's really old.
Yes, it is.
Is she a dark elf?
No, she's a high elf. But there's not much difference. Not from someone who's been out on the surface for a while. I don't see the difference anymore. I used to be a devout follower of these tenets.
No.
The world has a way of opening your eyes.
When I was down there, Inoso wasn't prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that shook their values a little?
When you are that old, traditions don't just go away. I seem to recall there was a bit of a civil war about it on those that were aboard the floating island, if you recall that. And they required the aid of Raylar the Lasting to end that civil war, who was an ancient gold dragon even then. I seriously doubt elves that are so stuck in their old ways in a massive underground society without the influence of a giant ancient gold dragon to scorch the opposition. I don't think anything would shake those traditions when they are the foundation of their lives.
Makes sense. So,
Especially considering Aetherion is one of the largest cities I've ever seen.
Therion?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that?
That is an underdark city of the Drow, Duragar, and Deep Gnome. That is... I guess that wouldn't be any harm to tell you. That is nestled somewhere, maybe 100 miles underground. Maybe... Do you know where the Golden Marches meet? At Shona.
I will as soon as I look at this map. Apparently not. I can't find it. No, I sure don't.
Oh. This is not the updated map. I'm sorry. Let me, put that in here. Just be a moment.
I thought it looked different.
There it
Oh,
is.
that's so much better.
Shona.
Yes, I do.
It is near there. You can reach it at the foot of the mountains through the vents, but it is a 100-mile hike down through the Underdark. But it is a larger city than Argo City is.
It's nice to know my history, but and I'm still learning things about myself, but
Oh,
I don't see anything that could bring me down there ever again.
There is an entire world below the surface of Amaranth. And I suggest you stay away from it.
Uh-huh. Agreed.
Especially since you are out of it. And
I went to so much trouble to get out.
You literally died to get out of it.
I was reincarnated into, and she kind of gestures to herself, half-elf. So.
Yes, I suggest you leave things as they were, in that regard.
So, hold on. You said that it's a matriarchal.
Matriarchal, yes.
Matriarchal society. I remember the man in my dream telling me I had a brother.
I pity the man.
To a point where it mattered, though, that he was my brother.
Hmm.
So that doesn't make sense to me. seems like he wouldn't matter.
Well, people are still people, Lorna. He may have mattered to you.
Maybe.
Just because a person does not matter to society does not mean they are not of value to a specific person.
It was because I valued someone who society didn't value that I came up here in the first place.
Well, there you have it. Whoever you were, clearly they did not share the same values as the rest of the, well, monsters below the soil.
At least at the end, I didn't. Apparently, I lasted 600 years.
Yes, either you changed your mind of recently, or you were very good at hiding it for a very long time.
Very long time. Oh, this is a lot of information. How do you feel about this?
Mildly amused,
That's nice.
maybe a little concerned, but what I see before me is a confused 18-year-old woman who is struggling to understand her studies, according to Tabernac.
Great. It's not that I'm struggling, it's more like there's a lot going on, and if I was just a normal 18-year-old girl, I think I would be doing very well.
I will
I think
mention
I'm doing
that.
well anyways.
I will mention that at the next staff meeting.
You don't have to. I feel like, well, the amount of people who already know about all of this is large. More than I'd like it to be.
How many is that?
You.
Hmm.
Well, you know about the whole drow thing. Are you going to mention that at the next staff? Hello?
I am, of course, not going to mention the particulars to the staff meeting, but I will have to tell Tabernac that his student was likely once a matriarch, a matron in drow society, hailing from one of the darkest corners of the world.
Cool, yeah. I think he knows more than I even know that he knows because of the whole mind reading thing.
She blinks.
Yeah, he does that.
Oh,
I'm sure
I
you
know.
know that. Yes, exactly. So you and him basically know the brunt of my situation.
Well, then it looks like you intend to stay with the Merigod Academy, because if you don't, you should not trust me.
No, I think I do. I think I am going to stay, and I think I do
That raises a
trust
question.
so far.
What of
Yes.
the Master?
I'm gonna go tell her to fuck herself
Hmm.
when I have the proper backing to do so.
Well, my informants did mention there was, well, corroboration about a dead drop.
Oh shit. She rubs her forehead. I completely forgot about that. Oh my god, did I miss it? Oh shit. She pulls open her journal. She starts paging through it. Stand by. Stand by. Oh my god, did I forget about this? I for sure did. Oh my god. Hold on. Control F. Dead. Drop. Stop with that face. Where is it? Eh. I, I had it written down, I swear. I had to get it at the docks, I just don't remember when.
Perhaps that is something you should find out.
Oh my god. I'm in trouble.
Lorna, I don't mean to point this out, but it seems as though you are quite bad at this.
I'm only 18 years old. I think.
I believe you are over 1,000 years old, if I...
Oh my god.
1,070?
What is little Lily gonna say about this? Hold on, I'm still looking through my notes. Where is this? Why didn't I write stuff down? Damn it, pen. Yep, I guess it doesn't exist. Oh my god, do I have to contact her? Oh no. Do you know how to send a message?
Elise looks at you and says, within the academy, yes.
Oh,
To
no.
any of my spy network, yes.
What do they know about the dead drop?
That there is one.
Great. I know it was at the docks, I just don't remember when. There's a log. Oh god. Can I roll a history check because Lorna's smarter than me?
Yeah?
Please.
It is a
Please.
disadvantage.
I'm so embarrassed. 14.
It's... So, this is not meant to be a brain-blasting puzzler.
I just completely forgot about this thing.
You recall that she said it was in 2 weeks.
How long has it been?
It's been about a week and a half.
Oh my god. Oh, shit. Okay, good. I didn't miss it, but I was cutting it close.
It was in 2 weeks from the Sunday that she left.
Yes. Lorna kind of sags a little bit. She's like, I didn't miss it. Oh my god. Thanks
At
for
least, like,
reminding
is sitting there, like, well, that was a roller coaster.
Uh-huh. Oh my god. Yes, the ultimate plan, to answer your initial question, was to tell her to go fuck herself, but I'm not quite at that stage where I can do that.
No,
So I'm gonna pick up dead drops if she wants me to.
I need you to not be killed by a criminal connection before you are a contractor.
That's the plan. And then when I'm at my full power of ancient drow goodness is when I'll tell her to go fuck herself.
When you receive that dead drop, and any further messages from the Master, if they seem to threaten or concern the Marigot Academy in any way, you must bring them to either Tabernac or Maxwell, and then proceed with them.
Bring the person making the threats?
No.
What?
If you receive a message, or you receive orders, you must bring them to the attention.
I see. Yes. Yeah, I can do that.
It's really quite simple. Just allow the Marigot Academy to protect itself if she means it harm, which I don't believe she does.
Oh, I don't see why she would.
But this is just me keeping you alive.
Yeah, thank you. Apparently I need all the help I can get right now.
The last thing you want is, well, the last thing you want is for Perch to have to fill out a red card on you. But
A red card? Is that like a do not pass go, do not collect $200?
it's a kill bounty. It's the sort of things the Marigot Academy tries not to fulfill, but every once in a while we must take a contract out to assassinate individuals. That is where individuals such as Matthew Cordell comes in.
Who's that?
You haven't met? He's one of the rogue students. He's a
She
poisoner.
shakes her head. Great. You're saying that they might kill me?
No, I said the worst thing that could happen is if we had to fill out an assassination contract on you because you were a threat to the Marigot Academy.
No, that's what I meant, that you could kill me.
If you were a significant and real threat to us,
I promise I'm not.
I believe you. Which
Okay.
is why I'm being candid with you about this.
Okay.
You are a student here.
Uh-huh.
You understand that if you receive orders that seem to threaten the Marigot Academy, if you bring them to our attention, you remain on our side? You
Yes,
understand?
yes. Yes, she's nodding. I got 2 hours of sleep. I just learned I'm 1,000 years old. I'm sorry.
Yes. This is not. This was not intended as a threat. I need you to perceive it that way, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Gods. All right. Why don't you go and get yourself something to eat, so you
Okay.
can also digest this information you've received.
Thank you.
You are welcome. I am sorry to have distressed you so. That was not my intention.
I know. I just need to act like a normal teenager for like 5 minutes.
I'm sure you can manage.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Elise.
You are welcome. Off you go.
She quickly leaves. She can
Okay.
get more frazzled.
Yeah. As you leave, it's now like 6 in the evening, and it's dinner time. Do you go to the mess hall, or do you go to the Merry Guard? What are you doing?
I go to the mess hall. I am looking for Skolna.
Okay. Rolling
luck,
perception at disadvantage.
Oh man. Hopefully she's just eating like a normal person. My god, terrible. 10. Natural 1, right?
You know, there might be easier ways to find Skolna than to look for her yourself.
Like, ask.
Yeah.
Ooh.
As you head to the mess hall, it smells rich with the smell of potatoes and gravy. It is profound, as you can smell the butter and the garlic on the air. And when you look over, you see, behind the counter, Hallowell Halatheth is cooking again. And
Good for
you
him.
see that there are all sorts of roast meat. You're not sure what they are, but they're all breaded and fried. And next to them are mounds of potatoes and vegetables. If you eat it, you actually still get 10 temporary hit points. You rolled well.
Okay.
But it just...
Good job, Hal.
Yeah.
He should just stop being a mercenary and just stay the cook. I'm not going to tell him that, though.
Okay. I was going to say, do you tell him that?
No, I do not tell him
Okay.
that.
With
What
an
his
11...
backstory is.
I'm sorry. With a 10, you don't
Yep.
see Skolna.
I sit down at my group of friends.
Okay.
I
They're
don't
all
see
at the
Skolna.
table. When you say, has anybody seen Skolna, Anscombe, like, points, and you
How?
see Skolna's at the head of the table.
How do you do that?
She just looks at you and shrugs. And puts a large bite of, like, fried beef in her mouth.
Great. Skolna,
She looks at you, her eyebrows raised.
I know we're eating right now, but can I
She
tempt
nods.
you for a drink after this?
She tilts her head and then nods again.
Great.
She looks around at the rest of the group.
This is more, this is more like girl time with you and me.
She, like, leans back a little bit.
We're going up for some reason.
She, like, leans on her elbow and looks at you and raises an eyebrow. And then she says, "You're not my type."
No. First of all, I'm offended. I'm everyone's type. Second of all,
Unless you have equipment I don't know about.
I like to think I'm full of surprises.
She shakes her head.
Okay, well, that's not the point. Is maybe suspend your disbelief, and I will surprise you pleasantly or unpleasantly. Just think of it as a fun little adventure with me, your buddy Lorna.
She puts a large spoonful of mashed potato in her mouth.
Okay.
She nods.
Okay. Good. Great. How is the rest of the group perceiving this conversation?
Everyone is, like, stopped eating and is watching intently.
I just want to hang out with Skull. Is that weird? She says to the rest of the group.
Everyone's immediately like, no, and you ought to go.
So I have to go
It's
back
wrong.
to your
It's
food.
fine. Sagona's just smooth.
I just want to smash my face against a wall. Oh, there she is. Look at her.
There she is. As you are eating your dinner,
Not her type, I see.
she's straight, unfortunately.
Alter self exists. Go on.
I'm sorry. Uh, as you eat dinner, your friends are all talking about their day. Um, and then you realize there is someone else at the table. Next to Anscombe, you spot Callie Toothspring. Is like, she comes and sits down. And Anscombe looks over and says, "Hey, Callie." And Callie just kind of quietly smiles and waves to everybody, and she begins to eat her own dinner. And Anscombe looks over at you and says, "We had a free agency today."
Well,
He
hope she
shrugs.
bailed you out of any trouble you were in, I'm sure.
Callie smiles and says, "Blew some things up."
I'm sure it went great.
Yeah. And then, I mean, that's basically all that happens is people are talking about their day. Eventually, when you finish dinner, Skolna stands, and she just kind of tilts her head at you in a gesture of the door.
Yep. Let's go.
She leads the way out, and I'm assuming you're heading to the Merry Guard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back corner table, hopefully.
All right. Back corner table. Let me pull Skolna off the thing.
And then put Skolna on the thing.
There she is.
Purple.
There is already music being played. Not by Tally Soothsinger, but instead you see... Have you met Norre?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. You see a woman who my token is broken for.
Broken token?
Yeah, my founder's been doing that lately. It's kind of a problem. Anyway, so theater of the mind. You see a woman with blonde hair and a very like spiky demeanor almost. She's wearing lots of blades around her belt, and she has a lute in her hands, and she is singing, but it's not in a language that you know. And the entire tavern is listening, and there's not so much conversation going on right now as you enter in Norre. You've seen her around the Merryguard Academy before, but if you haven't met her, you're not really familiar with who she is. She does not seem the most sociable of people, but her music is beautiful.
You have an idea what language she's singing in?
What language do you speak?
Common, Draconic, Elvish, Infernal.
Roll me an Arcana check.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just gonna make. Oh man, a 9. It's gonna make my persuasion checks for Skullnet just hot trash.
I'm pretty sure it's giant.
That's cool.
As you and Skolna go and find a table, let me roll, hold on. A little kobold walks up to the table and says, "Hey, welcome to the Merryguard. What can I get you?"
I look at Skullnet, whatever she wants.
Skolna holds up the menu that's on the table and points to the wagon stout. And the kobold says, "Good choice. Be right back." And Skolna just looks at you.
So, I think you can put together that I have to be here for a specific reason.
She blinks.
Yeah, you're pretty quiet.
She nods.
Relatively
slowly.
hard to notice, even when you're right in front of someone's face.
She smirks
Maybe
a
it's
little.
just me. Yeah, okay. So, I get the sense that you know more than people think you do.
She kind of looks to the side at the rest of the tavern and folds her arms across her chest as she looks at you again.
And I'm not really concerned about what you know about other people, although maybe I'd find it funny. I'm more interested in what you already know about me.
She raises an eyebrow.
Mostly to save time, because I want to be honest with you. Because we're going to be working together, hopefully, in the future. Maybe even after we graduate. And the more you know about me, I think the better.
You see
Because
that her demeanor changes a little bit, and she kind of leans on the table and looks at you. You feel as though you're being appraised. Roll persuasion or a deception check.
I'm really scared. 14.
Is it persuasion? Okay.
Hey.
Skolna looks at you for a long time. It almost makes you feel a little uncomfortable. All right.
Right?
She seems to regard you for another long moment. She says, "You're lost."
Half nods. Yeah.
I'm gonna let you tell me what you want to tell me.
Right. And she kind of waits until their drinks arrive because it's always that you're always in the middle of something and then the waiter comes by to just ask you, oh, fuck that.
It takes another moment and then they do appear. The kobold says, "Any food?" And Skolna shakes her head.
No, we ate. Thank you.
All right. Wag me if you need me anything else. And he walks away.
She'll kind of play with her drink between her fingers and not drink it. So, the reason I bring this up is because I like you. And I trust you. And I want to keep working with you in the future.
Why?
Why do I like you?
No. Why do you trust me?
You haven't done anything bad to me.
That's a short list.
I know that's a really low bar, but I recall a specific time when I was in a bad way, and you implied that you would help me with my problem. And even if it was really dangerous, that you didn't really second guess wanting to do that. You said I was your friend.
You are.
And it meant a lot to me.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on with me. I'm sure you've put that together.
Yeah.
And yes. I don't want people with me who don't know what they're getting into by being associated with me. And that's the unselfish reason. And the selfish reason is that I don't want to care about people who will leave me. So I kind of want to put it all on the table so you can make that decision so I don't waste my time and you don't waste yours. Does that make sense?
Skolna nods.
I know it's a lot to ask because we've only known each other for a few weeks, but this could be something that lasts a long time. I'd like it to, but I want you to know the problems that come with me. Because who doesn't have problems? Some of them are just really big.
What if I don't want to know them?
I didn't anticipate you saying that. I suppose to that I would say I wouldn't feel comfortable letting you walk in blindly if you decided to stick with me. Wouldn't you want to know ahead of time what the danger could be?
It's harder that way. If friends die, it's harder that way to see them go.
To get close to them?
Yes.
Well, how do you make friends otherwise? You have to take that risk.
You choose who you protect, who you trust. If you think they'll protect you back and trust you back.
That's why I'm doing this.
Skolna seems to consider the thought. I need you to roll another persuasion check.
Right. Okay, 15, a little bit better.
15. She kind of folds her arms and leans forward on the table, looking down at the ale in front of her. I don't like knowing a lot about my friends. What if that's what you need?
Are you implying that you know more about people you don't know and don't like? Because it doesn't matter?
She kind of takes a weird smile on her face. It's all part of planning.
I don't understand at all. I know I'm making you talk a lot.
You should have a plan to kill every person you meet.
Okay.
If you need to.
I've never done that.
So if that bartender over there decided to poison you,
I would die.
I wouldn't.
I guess my rebuttal to that is it worth living with that much paranoia?
It's only paranoia if you're wrong.
How often are you right?
Used to be a lot.
Used to be.
She blinks.
So you went from being right a lot to paranoid.
She shrugs. Haven't been proven wrong yet.
I guess I'll just have to leave that kind of planning to you.
She smirks a little bit and shakes her head. I can't be there all the time.
It's true. I just have to hope the times that you're not there, people aren't trying to kill me.
She kind of tilts her head and then nods. Then she points at your hand.
Sure, but that didn't kill me.
She raises an eyebrow.
Very painful lesson. The point is, I've actually lived a very long time. Somehow.
Weird flex, but okay.
That's kind of into what I wanted to tell you. I'm really old.
Okay, this is getting weird.
Like, really old. Like, guess how old I am? And she, like, kind of pats her chest.
She, like, looks at your ears and at your face. She says, an elf, maybe 60?
I actually recently discovered how old I was today. It's weird, right? I'm 1,000 years old.
Skolna blinks. How?
I've lived a couple of different lifetimes.
Skolna kind of tilts her head and looks down at Requiem, and then up at you again. She folds her arms across her chest, and she takes on a posture that you can only tell as if she's saying, go on.
Mm-hmm. Who I am right now, is the most recent in a long line of failsafes put in place to prevent death. I guess in kind of the same way you try to prevent your own death from circumstances you can't control. Mine were just, even if I really fucked up and did die, I wouldn't, because I had a spare body to start over again. And I've done that a couple times. Are you with me so far?
There's a pause, and then she says, who's Lily?
I knew you knew some stuff. Lily.
You talk a lot to yourself.
Oh my god. When I'm alone, right?
Yeah.
Alone. She puts the air quotes. Lily is the one who made those failsafes.
It's hard to help people when they know you're helping them.
I don't know if that's entirely true.
She raises an eyebrow. And then she
Maybe the
takes a
way
drink of her ale.
maybe the way you help people. Lily is me.
She sets the ale down and wipes her lips. So, Lorna or Lily?
Well, I'm Lorna.
Um,
Lily was the one before me.
okay.
Sort of. I've had a lot of different names. There's quite a few, actually. I'm not going to bore you with the details. The problem is I kind of have two souls.
Skolna's eyes narrow.
Lily was the one who was making sure that she didn't die. She's really smart and uh, powerful. But something happened in the last line of failsafes that she made a mistake. When she died, she didn't it didn't work the way it usually did, and I was born. I took over the bodies she had prepared for herself. And I am her, but I'm not her at the same time. So it's a little complicated, but she's with me always. Because we're kind of the same person.
There is a pause as Skolna seems to absorb this.
Yeah, I know.
I don't. Are you rich?
Oh, what do you mean?
How do you afford
I'm
fail
not sure.
safes?
So, I don't. Normally, the failsafe ensures that all the memories and the personality of the person who dies and then re-inhabits this new identical failsafe. Normally, they're all intact. The thing is, when it failed, or didn't work quite right with me, I lost a lot of that information, and so did Lily. And we're kind of, both of us, she gestures to her, like, head, are trying to put it together. So there's a lot I don't remember, but I've been rich a couple times. Enough to be able to do this. I'm
Well,
not rich now.
I like Lorna. I don't know Lily.
I like Lorna too. Lily, I'm still kind of forming an opinion on. I didn't really know anything. I didn't know anything about her until recently. I didn't know anything was different or weird or strange about me. I thought this was my first go around until I realized it wasn't. And that's why I came to the Marigard.
So what's the deal with the master? Since we're
Oh,
being honest.
yeah. Lily. I just call her Lily. She's had many different names. That's just kind of the umbrella term for her and not me. She, her last life, was married to someone with a lot of issues. And when she died, and I was born, her husband took it upon himself to raise me in the hopes that Lily would just come back. He didn't know how it worked. I don't know how it works. Lily doesn't remember how it works, but he thought
How
if
old
he
were
was
you?
just patient. How old was I?
Raise you. What do you
Yeah,
mean?
I was. So normally the failsafe is an adult when they get inhabited by Lily's spirit, and she's just an adult. She's always been an adult. But one of the problems was that the failsafe wasn't ready yet. It had just been created when she died. So I was an infant.
You see that Skolna's face grows colder.
Mm. That was kind of my reaction too, when I found out that he was planning on raising me to be his replacement wife.
That's gross.
Yeah, I thought so too. I was horrified, and I didn't. He was just waiting for the moment that my memories would come back, and we just pick up right where he left off with Lily. But I didn't get her memories back, at least not at that point. And now I'm worried that it doesn't matter. I decided to leave before he realized that I knew what he was doing, and to get out of the country, I get out of the country quickly and with the precautions that he would not be able to find me, I got in league with the Master and she helped me come to the Marigard.
Skolna nods.
So I owe her a lot because my dad is well off, has connections, so he's been tearing apart Southern Sarah's looking for me, but he doesn't know I'm here.
Saris.
Yes.
I've heard Nosvidanya. I've heard KO. I've heard Triton.
Uh, you wouldn't believe where I'm actually from.
Skolna blinks.
I don't actually know, like, the exact location, but she just points downward.
She kind of tilts her head.
There's a lot going on here.
Okay. Why tell me all this?
Because at any given moment, I'm worried that the Master is going to come looking for me, or that my dad will find me, or that there's multiple different lives over 1,000 years, all with, I'm sure, people that I've managed to piss off.
Lorna.
And, yes?
If those things happen, just say you need my help.
I didn't want to ask for your help before you knew, because I didn't want you to think that I was using you because you're good at what you do and you can help protect me.
She kind of smirks and her eyes narrow a little and she says, but I use you too.
But that's not the only reason. For me, I'm not going to pretend I know what your feelings are, but I like you. And I want you to, if you decide to stay with me, I want you to do it because you want to be with me, or you get something out of being with me. I care about the distinction, but I'm not going to pretend to know your feelings.
She nods slowly. She kind of holds out an open hand, as if she's trying to find the right words. She shrugs. I'm from Malachor.
Okay, I've heard of it and never visited. Lorna hasn't. She adds.
I don't have an illustrious life story to tell you. I don't have a crazy history with a really perverted and fucked up dad or anything like that. I had 4 brothers in the Thieves Guild. They taught me everything I know. They were all slain. The guards think I did it.
Your own brothers?
Yeah.
Why would they think you did it?
Because it was my knife that did it.
But not your hand.
No.
So you left.
Yeah. With a quickness.
You're good at that.
Tyrell said I was the best at that.
One of your brothers?
Yeah. The oldest. You know there are vampires in Malachor, right?
I've heard something about that.
Well, my brothers I didn't know, but they had a deal with a Baron Caster. He liked tiefling blood.
I see.
There's a rumor going around, that's what they like to say around the city, that if you give your blood to the Achitaris, they'll make you a noble. Maybe that's true. But if you give your blood to Baron Caster, there's nothing in it for you. Just more. They kept coming back for more. And when I said no, well, you see she's kind of struggling. Do you know why I like you, Lorna?
She shakes her head no. She has no idea.
I've seen you use a lot of magic. I've seen you use a lot of spells. You never try to control anybody. She takes a drink of ale.
She'll kind of lean her elbows on the table and lean forward and look at Skull and say, "What do you want to do about Baron Caster? Do you want to do anything about it?"
How much time have you got?
Apparently all the time in the world.
Well, I've got it all planned out.
Can I help?
She looks at you. Her eyes are very sad. But you see a genuine smile across her face. Yeah, you can help.
Good.
There's... You can see she, like, is struggling. She takes a drink of the ale to cover up the emotional strain that she's on. And as she sets the ale down, she quickly brushes a tear away. Now if you die, I'm gonna be fucking miserable.
Yes, and you have to make sure I don't die.
Yeah. That was already the plan. You see why I said you could just ask for fucking help. You didn't have to make it all personal.
I couldn't have not done that.
She scowls.
I am not quite there yet, but once I loved someone a whole lot. And I was willing to tear the world in two. And I could do it. And I think if I make it, I could probably do it again.
Skolna furrows her brow. What do you mean?
I know I was once capable of some pretty great things. I think I just need to work toward it again, but I think I have a propensity for finding people that I like and doing whatever it takes for them.
All right. She, like, takes a drink of the ale and sets the mug down. She holds out her hand. Partners.
As long as you'll have me.
Don't fuck it up.
I promise I will try not to. And she takes her hand.
That'll have to do. She shakes your hand. You have acquired Skolna as a party member,
Formally.
formally.
I
Yes, well done. The first party member for when you are a contractor.
don't have Tiara and Anscombe locked down.
They could still be assigned other ones.
I will burn the world.
You just have to make it formal.
Okay, so I go to Tiara next.
No. As you have your drinks and you pay for them, you did invite Skolna out for drinks, and so
I did.
you're
Yeah,
paying.
I planned on paying.
And the total is 8 copper for the 2 ales.
Oh no, I'm bankrupt. I was kidding.
Suddenly, inflation strikes.
No!
As you have your conversation with Skolna, and the night gets late, and you are reminded just how actually tired you are.
Yeah. Beat to shit.
That is where we are going to stop tonight's session.
Oh man, I didn't expect to get anything out of Skolna. I figured I was just gonna talk at her and she was just gonna be like, okay. Yeah, Skolna told me stuff. I
Sure.
didn't inside check her once. Maybe I should have.
Maybe you should have.
I choose to believe her.
Okay.
She
Thank
wouldn't let
you,
me.
everyone, for watching this session of From Nothing, Lorna's Story. If you are stopping by to listen, we love you, and I can't wait to see you again next week.
I love Skolna.
Good night, everyone.
I wish I was her type.
Ah.